Hello and welcome to the third part of our Tektronix TDS 460 repair adventure. Let's start with unboxing the new capacitors that I have ordered. If you have watched my last video, you've seen the part numbers for these capacitors. Now I start removing the old capacitors. And since we are dealing with leaky capacitors and other chemicals for cleaning, I put on goggles, a face mask, and gloves. So please keep in mind to protect yourself if you do some work with chemicals or with the soldering iron in general. And here we have some of the capacitors which I will remove. I will remove this one first, and I start by heating it up a bit with hot air. The hot air gun was set to just 100 degrees just to heat up the capacitor and the board a bit to make soldering easier. And then I applied some flux, as you can see here, with this stick on both contacts of the capacitor. So the first contact and the second contact, like this. And then I use a bit of fresh solder and my soldering iron to apply some extra solder on the pads of the capacitors. And the next step is I used the tweezers to grab the capacitor and heat up the pads, the left and then the right, the left and the right, and tilting it while doing so also helps. And after a while you can remove the capacitor. And then we have some extra solder on the pads, and I will remove this now with the solder wick. You can see here, and we have clean pads. There we go. The next step is to use isopropanol alcohol to clean up the pads. Make sure that all of the electrolyte from the capacitor also gets removed. I will clean it up more carefully later on. But first of all, I show you another method I've used to remove the capacitors, and this is straight with hot air, but this method is maybe a bit more dangerous of two reasons. First of all, if you heat up the capacitor like this, you can also heat up other components in near the capacitor and desolder them by accident. And secondly, these capacitors can explode if you heat them up with hot air. So it's very important to have goggles on to make sure that if it explodes to be safe. And here we have the removed capacitor, so this has worked fine. The next step is again applying a bit solder to the pads like this, and then with the solder wick, I have to note that the solder that I'm using contains flux, so just a note. And with the solder wick I cleaned now the pads, and so they look beautiful, fine, like the other ones. And then, of course, the next step is to clean it with isopropanol alcohol, and I did it here as well. And yeah, there we go. So the next thing that I've addressed is this front panel board, and as you can see, I removed the individual knobs just by pressing on the backside and then pulling them out like that. And some of them are harder to remove, so I used my tweezer to pull them out like this, and it works fine too that way. So again with the tweezer and the last one, and there we have the knobs removed. And now the next step is that we can remove the board itself, and the board is also snapped in place with this plastic pieces right here. So I have to unsnap this board again. You have to be very careful when doing so because it's made of plastic and it can break. And then I just remove the board like this very carefully, and there we go. We've removed the board. Here you can see the board, and yeah, and here we can see the rest. So let's remove this one, and now I started to unsolder the capacitors with hot air as well. And for this capacitor here I had to make sure that I don't damage the parts nearby or unsolder them by accident. So what I did was using some metal parts to shield the other components from the hot air, and then I was able to remove the capacitor. So the other parts are shielded, and as you can see with the hot air gun, I just heated up the one capacitor, and there we go, finally removed. And now comes a very important part, and this is the in-depth cleaning of the board. Because we have a lot of gunk from the capacitors on this board, I have to carefully clean them with isopropanol alcohol. Make sure that they are very well cleaned so that there is no capacitor residual stuff on there, because otherwise it will continue destroying components or traces on the board, and this is not a good thing. So make sure that you remove all of the stuff that the capacitor has leaked on the board, and then it's time to solder in the new capacitors. So here we have the new capacitors, and there is the board again, and now here's the capacitor, and I will solder it on the bed. So first of all, I applied some flux again, and the cool thing about this is now I can stick the capacitor on here, and it will be fixed a bit at least, so that it cannot move that much because of the flux. So this is a cool side effect of the flux. So here is the capacitor, and now after putting it into its position, I use my soldering iron, and then I soldered on the first side, and after that I did precise corrections because I want to have it perfectly aligned like it should be. So make sure to align it perfectly fine, and so almost happy, almost there. So now it's aligned as it should be, and now I soldered on the other connection like this, and there we go. So now we have soldered on this capacitor. Looks great, perfect. I'm happy with that. So this capacitor, I had to put a extra wire on it because the bed was already too much damaged because of the leaky capacitor, and so with this extra wire I wanted to make sure that the contact is really that we have a good contact. And in the next part I will assemble the oscilloscope and test if it actually works now. So stay tuned for the next part. Please subscribe, and thanks for watching. Bye.